Welcome everyone. My name is Brett Husong and I am a landscape architect and project manager with Parks and Recreation. This is the second of two online presentations for the Point Douglas Regional Trail Master Plan. During the first presentation in October of 2020, we discussed the opportunities and constraints along the trail corridor. This previous analysis helped to inform today's preliminary alignment presentation, and the first presentation can be found on the project website. During today's meeting, I'll provide a brief project overview, including the project extents, available funding, and the purpose of the plan. We'll then review the preliminary alignments and finally discuss the next steps and the tentative project timeline. Due to the ongoing pandemic, we do not anticipate holding a formal in-person meeting. Rather, Parks and Recreation is planning to use a variety of methods that adhere to current public health guidelines, including virtual presentations, interactive maps, and flyers. Simultaneously, Parks and Recreation is holding virtual design advisory team meetings that include a variety of government and municipal stakeholders, advocacy groups, residents, Ward 7, and the Southeast Community Organization. Comments from both the community and the design advisory team, along with preliminary engineering, were used to develop these trail alignments that we'll talk about today. Currently, there is no continuous off-street trail connection between St. Paul and Washington County on the east side of the river. We've currently completed the Robert Pieram Trail on the west side of the river, but the purpose of today's project is to develop a master plan for a continuously protected off-street regional trail for people of all ages and abilities. The future Point Douglas Trail will connect major sections of the existing regional bike commuter and recreational trail systems. It will also eliminate existing and future conflicts between pedestrians and vehicles. This master plan is funded through the Parks and Trails Legacy Fund Grant Program, which is administered through the Metropolitan Council. In the Met Council's 2040 Regional Parks Policy Plan, the Point Douglas Trail is identified as a regional trail search corridor, and as an implementing agency, the City of St. Paul was encouraged by Met Council to prepare a master plan document for the corridor. When approved, the document will allow the city to apply for regional trail system funding for acquisition and implementation. Finally, this trail is also part of the Mississippi River Trail, which is a multi-state transportation and recreational trail that begins at the headwaters of the Mississippi River and extends through 10 states on its way to the Gulf of Mexico. This route is currently identified by existing MRT signs along Point Douglas currently. The 4.5-mile corridor is located in the southeast region of St. Paul, running along Highway 61 from Indian Mounds Park at Burns Avenue to Washington County at Bailey Road. To help analyze the 4.5-mile corridor, we've separated into 5 segments shown here on the overall preliminary alignment map. Each segment is then enlarged to detail the preliminary trail alignments through the respective segments, which were again determined by community engagement process, also by recommendations from the design advisory team, and finally by preliminary engineering from a consultant. The result is a proposed trail alignment located along the west side of Point Douglas because it utilizes existing right-of-way, avoids utilities, and avoids conflicts between trail users and vehicles at residential driveways. Segment 1 is the exception because there is already an existing trail on the opposite side of Highway 61 through Fish Hatchery, and we'll get into these in a second. So segment 1A begins on the north end of the corridor adjacent to Indian Mounds Regional Park and proposes 3 protected off-street trails. One primary alignment is shown in solid blue and 2 alternative alignments shown in dashed blue. The primary alignment follows the existing Fish Hatchery Trail through MnDOT, Burlington Northern Santa Fe, and Department of Natural Resources property along Highway 61 to Battle Creek in segment 1B. The city has already received funding for design and reconstruction of the primary alignment in Segment 1A, including slope stabilization, retaining walls, wayfinding, and restoration. Construction of this primary alignment from Warner Road to Battle Creek is anticipated for 2022 or 2023. Below is a typical section showing a 12-foot off-street trail along Highway 61 in this area. Regarding the alternate alignments, both were recommended by the community and by the project advisory team. And the spur trail shown here was also referenced in previous planning documents, including the Great River Passage and St. Paul Bike Plan. This spur trail is a 0.3-mile extension on the southbound right-of-way of Highway 61 in Segment 1A. This alignment will provide a direct connection to the Indian Mounds Regional Park pedestrian overpass in lieu of the existing route along Warner Road, which has a steep uphill segment to the overpass. The second alignment is a 0.68-mile trail on the east side of Highway 61 that utilizes MnDOT right-of-way and the historic Point Douglas Road through Segment 1B. This proposed alignment would provide a direct connection to the Gold Line bus rapid transit that will follow the east side of Highway 61 to Highway 94 or Interstate 94. Both alternate alignments through Segment 1 will require collaboration with multiple government agencies and coordination with future intersection improvements at Burns Avenue and Warner Road. Finally, according to the community, one suggestion to increase use and perceived safety of the corridor is to install wayfinding signs. As a result, we are proposing wayfinding signs at decision points to help navigate the regional trail system, including along Warner Road and Burns Avenue. Segment 1B is a continuation of the existing Fish Hatchery Trail along the west side of Highway 61 and the alternate alignment along the historic Point Douglas Road corridor. This alternate alignment would pull trail users away from Highway 61 to provide a better trail experience through the trees. Below is a typical section showing the 12-foot off-street trail along the historic Point Douglas Road. Segment 1B terminates at Highway 61 underpass at Battle Creek Regional Park and includes another wayfinding sign. Beginning at the Battle Creek Regional Park trailhead, Segment 2 is a protected off-street trail on the west side of Point Douglas Road. A sufficient road width of over 40 feet will allow for the trail to utilize a portion of the southbound shoulder while maintaining safe roadway functions. A future vehicle gate is also proposed to the north of Lower Afton Road to regulate vehicle access at night and to prevent illegal dumping along the road. Segment 2 then terminates at Lower Afton Road. Intersection improvements are proposed due to steep grades from the east, poor sightlines, high traffic speeds, and high traffic volumes along Lower Afton Road. Depending upon available funding, we are proposing two crossing options. Option 1 is an at-grade crossing which features high visibility striping, vehicle stop lines, and enhanced crossing features such as a push-button, rectangular rapid flashing beacon and signs. Option 2 is an at-grade or is a grade-separated underpass on the west side of Point Douglas, which brings trail users below Lower Afton and back up on the south side of Point Douglas Road. Either option will be refined during the design process to meet federal and state guidelines and to coordinate with any future Highway 61 intersection improvements. Also below is a typical section showing 12-foot off-street trails separated by a curb and boulevard. Segment 3 is a protected off-street trail located on the west side of Point Douglas. Once again, the alignment is on the west side of Point Douglas based upon recommendations from the Project Advisory Committee, the community engagement process, and from anticipated conflicts with utilities, parking, and residential driveways. The trail will utilize the existing shoulder and will be separated from vehicles by a boulevard, a new curb, and tree plantings. Close collaboration between St. Paul Public Works, adjacent property owners, and MnDOT will lead to a trail section that uses a retaining wall at pinch points, a new curb design that facilitates roadway function and drainage. Here's the section that is showing the off-street trail, retaining wall, and boulevard and new curb. Segment 3B continues as a protected off-street trail located on the west side of Point Douglas Road. Once again, the trail is separated from vehicles by a boulevard, new curb, and tree plantings until Howard Avenue, where the right-of-way begins to narrow. Due to the narrow right-of-way, land or easement acquisition may be needed for portions of the segment between Springside Drive and Highwood Avenue. The section in the middle of the page shows the multi-use trail separated from Highway 61 and Point Douglas Road by vehicle barriers on either side. Further collaboration is needed between St. Paul Public Works, adjacent property owners, and MnDOT to meet minimum trail standards, roadway needs, and seasonal maintenance requirements. Segment 4 will utilize the existing protected off-street trail between Highway 61 and the bluff or hillside. Due to the proximity to Highway 61, the community engagement process recommended shifting the trail 5 feet closer to the hillside to allow for more separation while preserving the drainage system. Further coordination is needed with MnDOT to determine horizontal clear zones from the roadway edge. This is a section showing the existing trail along Highway 61 separated by vehicle barriers, and segment 4 terminates at the cul-de-sac north of Carver Avenue. So segment returns to the roadway at the cul-de-sac north of Carver Avenue. This is a protected off-street trail separated by a boulevard and curb. In most cases, there is adequate right-of-way to install a trail without affecting the existing curb until Stinchfield, which is in segment 5B. However, at over 40 feet in road width, we are considering moving the curb to the east to reduce the road width while maintaining roadway function, similar to segment 2. Continued coordination is needed with St. Paul Public Works, Streets and Sewers divisions. Segment 5B continues along the west side of Point Douglas Road as a protected off-street trail until Stinchfield Street, where the roadway and flat right-of-way narrows. This narrow section of the corridor will require a retaining wall on the west side of the trail and the curb to be relocated to the east. Once again, continued coordination is needed with St. Paul Public Works to meet federal trail standards and the functional needs of the roadway. Segment 5 then terminates at Bailey Road with 2 crossing options to Washington County. Option number 1 is similar to Lower Afton, which is an at-grade crossing with features such as high visibility striping, vehicle stop lines, and push-button enhanced crossing features such as rectangular rapid flashing beacons and signs. Option number 2 is a grade-separated underpass on the west side of Point Douglas Road, which brings users down below and underneath Bailey Road and then back up to the trail on Washington County on the west side of Bailey Road. The next step is to allow for a 30-day public review period and to continue public engagement from specific focus groups. We'll also refine the trail alignment based upon comments received and follow up with a preferred alignment in the coming months. Finally, below is a tentative schedule for major milestone and online meetings. You'll notice after each phase there is an opportunity to provide feedback. As a reminder, the project will be presented to the Park and Recreation Commission and Transportation Committee for review and approval. Ultimately, we hope to receive City Council and Met Council approval in spring 2021. Below is my contact information and project website. Please contact me with any questions, and thank you for listening.